This video is brought to you by LogRocket, the front-end performance monitor that records videos of user sessions along with logs and network data, surfacing problems and revealing the root cause of every bug. Try it today at logrocket.com/YT.
Hey, my name is Brady Dowling, and in this video we're going to be going over Vue refs. We'll talk about what they are, when to use them, and why they are preferable to other methods that might do the same thing. So first of all, what are refs? Refs are a way of accessing a specific DOM element that you have on your page. So I have an app here where I have a counter component and I have an editor component. And let's take a look at the counter. So normally in Vue, because it has data binding, you basically declare a variable and then you would update that variable, and Vue kind of takes care of the updates for you. So here, if I have this more numbers button, it's going to increment this count. So when I click more numbers, it's going to run this get more and it'll increment count. So if I click here, it's going to be incrementing this one by one. And then I have this other button that is going to restart the count. So it'll set count to 0 and it clears it out. And I don't ever have to touch the DOM manually. I don't have to do like document.querySelector and then, get my ID here and do a query selector there. I don't have to do that because I have this click method, and then I'm really just updating the data, and Vue is taking care of the DOM updates for me. So as I click this, it's updating the DOM. Now, there are times when I will want to actually get the DOM element. So for instance, if I care about doing an animation or getting the position of the element on the page, or maybe I want to work with another library that manipulates the DOM and needs to get that specific element. So those are cases when I would want to use refs. And so in order to use refs, let's jump over to our editor here. We basically will assign a ref attribute on this item, and we can call it whatever we want. So we could call my ref. So let's see how this would actually manifest. And we'll do it on this text area. And we actually already have a ref here. So we have editor on this text area. And what I want to do with this text area is once the user clicks this button, I want it to focus in on the editor. And that way they can just start editing right away. Not really very functional, not really that realistic. You could just click the editor. But let's just say that this is the experience that I want users to have. So as soon as they click this button, we want it to focus in on here. So let's go ahead and add an on-click here to our button. And we can just call it focus editor for the function that we're going to call. So we're going to add a method in here that's going to say focus editor. And let's just say that it's clicked in here. Let's add a console log statement. Okay, so we'll pop open our console just to make sure we're working. Let's clear some of this stuff out. And okay, it was clicked. So that's good. Looks like we have things that are doing what we want. Now let's use our refs here. Okay, so we have our ref and its editor. And the way that you access this is using this.refs. So let's get that back. And now we're going to console log this, and then we're going to use $ notation. So it's going to be this.refs. All right, so now this will log out all the refs on this component. So for this one, I just have editor. So we should see that single one. So now when I click focus editor, we see this ref here. And this ref, if I were to log out refs.editor, you can see that this is the value for this item in the key, and this is an actual DOM object. So I could get the class name, I could get the client height, I can get anything that I want to from the normal DOM element that I would get if I did document.querySelector. So let's go ahead and finish off what we're going to do here, which is let's call focus on here, and we'll get the editor ref on that object, and then on this we'll actually call our focus method. So let's go ahead and save that. We'll clear out this console. We don't need this anymore. Now we have our app that still does the counter right. And now if we want to focus on our editor, now we can start typing anything we want, okay? So that's how we use refs. Refs are, again, a way of accessing the actual DOM element within the HTML. Now, why wouldn't I just use document.querySelector or document.getElement by ID, or maybe getElements by class name? Now, these things will all work, and it's not really terrible to use these things. You can still use them if you'd like. But the good thing about refs is you know exactly what you're getting. Okay, so in here I have this ref, it's editor, nothing else is assigned a ref of editor. So I know I'm going to get this text area. If I'm using query selector, I'm going to get this text area if I use the right class, if I use the right HTML node type, and if I use the right ID. But what if there is a similar element that's outside of this component? Will I get that? Maybe I will, maybe I won't, depending on how I'm doing my query selector. And this becomes especially tricky if I have multiple instances of this component within my page. So it's especially helpful to use refs over document.querySelector or other similar methods, because you just kind of know what you're getting more. It's more predictable, and you can just use it without having to worry about any unexpected behavior. So that's a rundown of refs. Refs are a way of getting the actual DOM node and the DOM element for HTML items that you have in your Vue component. And they're mostly useful when you want to focus or you want to use some sort of third-party animation library or something similar to that. But generally, you want to avoid using refs if you can, and just use data binding like Vue supports by default. So that's a rundown on refs, what they are, how to use them, and why they are preferred over similar methods. Hopefully that's been helpful. If you like this video, go ahead and subscribe, and we will see you in the next one.